Well, hello, friends and
Friends.
and lovers. That would be you only.
Well, I hope so.
Hey, we just wrapped up February. We're wrapping up February,
We sure are.
and
We
got
didn't
to
wrap it up
celebrate.
yet, but we are.
We got to celebrate our 18th Valentine's today.
It's
Not today,
just-
together.
Yeah, we went to a new
We
place.
did.
We don't have to say where because we don't want to promote.
It was
this,
lovely.
unless they become a sponsor of our podcast. But
Do we? We don't have any sponsors.
No, but I mean we could. It'd
We
be a
have
nice
we have
reference.
a very precious group of contributors. Thank you for that.
Yes,
and
thank
we
you.
are grateful. But
That's why we call
but
you
you didn't buy
friends.
our dinner for Valentine's Day, and we don't want you to
Our
think you
friends
did.
support our friends support this. Usually it's just our parents.
Oh no, we have some special friends
Yeah.
that support us. Yeah, what I was going to say is though,
Tell me
we're
more.
we're on this series on crucial conversations, and I was going to say we've had a few in our 18 years. We've had a few on Valentine's Day in our 18
Oh, we had one bad.
Tell
we
them
had
about the biggest bust ever.
We
Come
had
on,
a
this
bad
is funny.
Valentine. We went to the Chart House, who is not a sponsor of this podcast. We didn't go this time, but years ago. It's been years.
It's been 4 years.
Oh, you know the
because
date.
we
Okay.
that was the
It's
day
gonna
we
turn into a
decided
crucial
that was
conversation.
the day we decided we will never celebrate on Valentine's Day again because it was a setup
Was it
potentially
only
for
4
disaster.
years ago?
It was probably
I
5
forget
years ago.
those things that are behind
Yeah.
and pressed towards the mark of the high calling in Christ
Selective
Jesus.
memory is what that's
Yeah.
called.
So
Yeah.
what happened was we were having a bad day, or I was having a bad
Yeah,
day.
I'm pretty sure it was you.
Yeah, I'm
I was
sure
pretty
you're right.
stoked to be
Anyway.
going out to dinner.
Yeah, and we get there and we sit down and we did get our table. We have a special table that we did get the table that
And tell them why it was special, Tim. I hope you
it's
remember.
the first time we went there. First
Yeah,
time
the day we got
when We got
engaged. Mm-hmm.
engaged. Yeah, I was going to say that.
Woo, he
I
passed
think-
that test. This was about to get
Anyway,
crucial.
So we get there, and there's glass in my water, or yours. I can't remember which.
Yeah.
The food wasn't done right. The service was terrible, and I couldn't stop complaining.
Yeah, it just got you in like a negative
I got in a
headspace.
you ever
Yeah.
get in a bad headspace at
Yeah.
the Chart House?
But it wasn't our first time having
That's it,
experienced
Chart
that
House.
on a Valentine's Day. And I think because there is undue pressure on both the husband and the wife on Valentine's Day. And it's become more so because it's become so commercialized. But somehow, and with social media, to be honest with you, there's such a pressure to like have the perfect everything. And so that was the year we both conceded that let's just take the pressure off. And in the future, just celebrate. We always have a date day. We have Fridays, we have a date excursion on a Friday, whether it's lunch, a walk on the beach, whatever. We set that that time aside. But we decided to no longer do it on Valentine's Day, and it has been the most freeing,
Yeah, it was
wonderful
great. It's great.
experience.
Yeah. So it was this. We had this year. We had a great different. We'd never been to this place together.
Yeah.
I think I've been to it one time with some board members years ago, and but we've never
Was nice.
dated anybody there, which is good.
Yeah, we have no prior dates.
Yeah.
But all that to say that in relationships and in business, we find ourselves in oftentimes crucial conversations. And we launched the series last week. And so we're going to dive in a little more this week. And you're going to talk to us about the tools for talking when stakes are high. And you're going to give us an example. We're going to talk about the fool's choice. What is that?
Yeah, so we're kind of doing a book report on this book, Crucial Conversations. Never done this before, but we draw from many different sources. But one of our favorite books on communication is Crucial Conversations, and it's really a powerful book. Well, it gets to, what chapter is this? This is chapter. Actually, I don't know. I think it's might be chapter 3 or 2.
Ish, yeah.
Ish. Anyway, it dives right. It's chapter 2. It dives right into this idea of a fool's choice, and a fool's choice is what we would call in life a you have two options, a false dichotomy. So this is what we call a false dichotomy. So the false dichotomy is there's only two options and both are bad. And the fool's choice is where you go, I have two equally bad choices. And what happens, especially when stakes are high, emotions are running high, and there's conflict of views, we have a tendency to stop thinking clearly.
Right.
And especially when it comes on us without warning. All of a sudden you're talking about something casually, and then all of a sudden it just is, very emotional conversation about whatever it is.
Right.
And when that happens, the shock of that, and we're going to talk about that next week, but the shock of that puts us in a frame of mind where we can't see any other options than two. Like, for example, you're getting ready to go out. And
on a date?
On a date or to church, wherever, Let's just say hypothetically.
Okay. This has never happened in our life.
It's probably never happened to anybody, but just it could happen. And your wife says to you when she's gotten a new dress on or pants or shirt or outfit, we'll call it an outfit, and she says, Does this make me look fat? Now, here's where the fool's choice comes in. You think either I tell her it does and ruin the night,
or the year,
or the year, or the life, or the marriage, or I lie and not tell the truth. Okay, those are the two equally bad options.
Right.
Most men choose to lie, but there may be another option, like, for example, in a hypothetical situation like that, I would hypothetically say, neither does it look fat or not fat. I would say, you know what? You're so attractive. No matter what you wear, I am overwhelmed with appreciation of how beautiful and how perfect you look and how overwhelming. And by the time I'm done, going there, and it's all true, by the way, hypothetical situation.
Can I tell you what my dad used to always say to my mom? And it was a double entendre.
No, that doesn't make you look fat.
He would say,
you look
no,
fat.
he would say, honey, nothing looks good on you.
Oh, wow.
In other words, it's like a compliment, but also like it's a twist.
It's not a compliment at all.
Nobody wants to think of their parents naked.
Yeah, ever. Yeah, you look better without anything on.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, that's what he would say. No, you look great with nothing on.
No, he would say nothing looks good on you.
Oh, nothing.
Nothing looks good on you.
I need to listen better. That's crucial.
See, that's coming up. That's one of our next points.
Yeah. Well, so the idea is something like this: speak truth to power and gain your worst enemy. That's a false dichotomy or fool's choice. So you go into your boss. Your boss tells you something, and it is something that is not right. And you can speak up to that. Mm-hmm. And if you do, you may have the worst enemy because he's your boss or she's your boss. And so on the one hand, you can have the worst enemy ever, or you can just go along with it. So that's a false dichotomy. When there may be another option, that's what we're going to talk about. Saying something when a bad decision is made and watch your marriage fall apart. So, for example,
saying nothing, not saying something.
Yeah, saying nothing.
Right.
Like, when something's going wrong in your marriage and you just kind of eat it, you really need to speak about these issues before they become too big.
Right.
So that false dichotomy puts us in this, fool's choice where we think, I have no good decisions. There is always a good way to approach this, and it's what we call dialogue.
Right. Yeah. And basically that involves you laying down your guard, everybody laying down their guard and contributing to basically like a pool of meaning together. So there's a safety there where you can contribute your thoughts, and it's if we were to shut that off, which happens often, good decisions are often missed because you're not having the depth of what other people have to contribute to that conversation. Yeah. And there's something, our ego is involved. Oftentimes we want to be right. We want to be the one to say what we have to say. We want our idea accepted and received. We don't want to be challenged. But in doing that, we miss out on the depth of this pool of meaning when you include others in your conversation.
Yeah. So think about, and the way the book presents us, this term that Kimberly is using, pool of meaning. Think about your conversation, every conversation with your spouse, or on the work, at work, or in your friendships, or with your children or your parents or people that you love or care about. So think about it as a pool between you. And when you're dialogue or you're communicating well, everybody is contributing into the pool of meaning. When the contribution is less, then the pool is shallow.
Right.
So when the pool is shallow, there is less value in the relationship, and the intimacy is not as strong as it should
for
be.
sure.
So what we want to do is we want to spend a couple of minutes talking about steps toward contributing to this pool of meaning,
Right.
or steps towards a dialogue. So we have, how many we have? We have like 5 things
Yeah.
we want to talk about.
Well, let's launch with number 1, and it should be number 1, and that is respect. You know, having a respectful disagreement is so much more productive than having the silent treatment, which we've all experienced, or even a rude attack, right? Yeah. So if you can, even if you don't respect the person speaking, respect the fact that they have an opportunity to have a voice. They should have the opportunity to voice their opinion.
Yeah.
And then you've allowed that pool of meaning to be there. They feel like they've been heard and they're contributing something. But we need to start with respect.
Yeah.
Respect for each other's role that they play, whether it's in the marriage or in the company. Respect their contribution as a human. Respect them as a human.
Actually, my mind's going wild while
Yeah.
you're talking, and it's that very thing.
Right.
Respect them as a human. They are created in the image of God, and even if they have limited skills, knowledge, information, education, whatever it is,
Right.
they are to be respected as a fellow human being.
Correct.
I mean, it may be as basic as that.
Yeah.
But have you ever been in a relationship? Let me put it this way. Have you ever worked for somebody with whom you have no respect, or for whom you have no respect or very little respect?
We all have.
Everybody's worked for somebody you know is incompetent.
Right.
Maybe you've been married to somebody that you think is incompetent. And whoops, moving on. Maybe you have friendships where someone is hard to respect. When people are hard to respect, dialogue does not flow naturally.
Right.
So you have to be very intentional, and it takes a lot of work. There are people I know that are so difficult to talk to, and one of the barriers that I have is when I see people who are narcissistic and they just, everything is about them.
Right.
And when you're talking to them, you feel like you can't even have a legitimate contribution to the pool of meaning.
Exchange.
Yeah, you can't have an exchange.
Right.
Because it's like they're waiting for you to stop talking so that they can tell you why you're wrong.
Right.
And why they're right.
Right.
And everything is zero sum. You know, I win, you lose. That's what zero sum is. There's no win-win.
Right.
It's either I win and you lose. And with a narcissist, if they don't win, they will fight till they win.
Right.
And they will play dirty.
Yeah.
They will attack.
Right.
They will do whatever it takes. And if you've ever talked to somebody who's a narcissist, they're very hard to respect, and you have to fall back on that. They're a human being.
Right.
I didn't mean to get into that
No, it's
deep,
good.
but my
It's
mind's
good
going
information.
crazy
Yeah.
thinking about respect. Let me give the next 2 are these. Number 1.
No, number 3.
Number 2.
2.
Number 2. What did I say?
You said number 1.
Yeah, and I
We were
meant
both
number 2.
wrong.
Yeah, see? Pool of meaning. We fixed it. So, the second one is this. First one, respect. Second one, calm, assertive.
Right.
Gosh, that's hard.
Yeah.
If you're an
I love that,
emotive person, if you're very emotional and your words are emotive, when I say emotive, I mean they provoke emotion. And I lean that way a little bit, maybe a lot. And it's hard to be calm, assertive. I'm sometimes very abrupt. I do it now to people I highly respect that may be sitting next to me right now. And I don't like it. And sometimes I'll go, man, that was abrupt. And, calm, assertive. I love this one because
Great man of God, great leader in contributing to a lot of families around the world. Actually, is who you're going to talk about right now. We purchased his books. We totally recommend
his
him
tapes.
in relationships, and that would be the fantastic and most respected Cesar Millan, the dog trainer.
The dog whisperer. Cesar Millan is actually the best dog trainer I've ever seen.
But
Not
you know
that
what?
I've only seen one.
Some solid advice from Caesar.
But he talks
It's
about
worked for our family several times.
Yeah.
With our dogs and with each other.
with your children. If you want to raise good children, you need to be
Cesar
calm,
Millan.
assertive. Cesar Millan's your guy.
Yep.
But he talks about being calm and assertive. You need to have confidence. You stand up straight. When you're walking your dog, you need to assert alpha control.
Authority.
Authority, alpha control. And then, but you don't yell at the dog. You don't kick the dog.
Right.
You don't hit the dog. If the dog is redlining, he will take
Which means what?
They're like aggressive towards humans.
So PMSing, if you're putting it in women's terms.
Okay, I would never.
I'm redlining right
would
now.
never.
Back away.
So, okay, we men are listening,
You already know.
and we're listening. Okay, but when that dog redlines or is becoming aggressive or biting or nipping or barking or aggressive behavior, he will take his hands. The only time he uses physical restraint, and he'll put it on their neck and push them down, because that's what alpha males do to the puppies as well as other dogs in a pack. And he doesn't hurt them. He just restrains them that way. And
We're not suggesting this in relationships, by the way.
no, I'm not.
Let us clarify.
Yeah. But other than that, it's always this calm,
Right.
assertive, remain calm, and don't speak with aggression. Handle people with carefulness. So if you want to have dialogue, don't raise your voice and don't raise the emotional level.
Right.
Keep it as calm
so good.
as possible. And we're going to be talking about how to think when you're shocked. We're going to talk about that in a couple of weeks. So you don't want to miss that one. The third one is this. So respect, calm, assertive. Third is speak facts with humility. Understand that none of us have a corner on the truth. You don't have a corner on the truth. I don't. I think I do sometimes, but I don't. And you don't always know the facts. You may think that you do, but until you listen,
Right.
you can't really be at that
Right.
point where you know this is what she is saying. This is what he is saying.
Right. And that leads us into point number 4, which is that actively listen.
Yeah.
You've said something through the years, which I love so much. You always said being heard is so close to feeling loved that you often can't tell the difference. And I love that because there's something about being able to have a voice and then feeling like you've been heard that makes you feel valuable and makes you feel loved in relationships. And it's important to do that by sometimes skillfully repeating or echoing what that person is saying.
Yeah.
So they know that you're hearing, this is what I'm hearing you say, and if it's done poorly, it can sound like you're mocking them, which is not the point. Like, so you're saying da 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 da.
You want me to go to the store.
So
I hear you.
Tone matters and how you say it matters, but really important that we actively listen to what the other human is saying and helping them to feel heard. And that leads into number 5.
Well, let me give the first 4 again. Respect, calm, assertive, speak facts with humility, actively listen, so important. And number 5 is?
I would have put this as number 4 and switched it with number 5, but create safety, because to actively listen, you already have to have the demeanor and the attitude of making it feel safe for that other person to say the things they need to say. Because fear has to be removed if there's going to be synergistic contribution in the conversation. And fear can shut down, as we know, relationships. It can shut down negotiations in when you're involved in business. So creating an atmosphere of safety is so important to be able to help that person feel heard.
Yeah, the power move in a conversation is done so many times in business. And we see it and we go, that guy's terrible. But it's done a lot in marriage. It's done a lot with
Shutting
kids.
Shutting
people down by demeaning them, by saying they're wrong, this is the fact, and being emphatic. It's a powerful thing. I think even create safety could have been number one. I agree. And we're going to talk about this. The pool of meaning is obstructed with fear. When you have fear, you're not going to contribute. So if every time you contribute, you're shot down by the person you love, you're going to stop contributing.
Can I just give an example that I marvel at? I've just watched it in this last week because I had the opportunity to watch two separate grandchildren from separate families and observe the parents in how they deal with conflict with their toddlers, and they're about the same age. Both of them raised in separate homes. Speaking to one of them was my daughter, the other was my daughter-in-law, and watching them how they react and respond to toddlers, which we all know can be a handful. And that's when they start finding their voice. They become, sometimes defiant and all those things. But in those moments, watching them say, "Tell me what you're feeling right now. Tell me why you're feeling that." And unpacking their resistance, and so that it doesn't turn into a battle of wills or having to be a moment where there's harsh corporal discipline, which is what we grew up with, and diffusing the situation by creating that safety with their children, starting very young, letting their children feel heard, but then also coaching them through it and helping them to make the right choice that'll give them the right outcome.
I watch our kids raise their kids. And I'm like,
man, they're doing it right. And I messed up so hard.
Gosh, I was like, I don't care what you think right now. Do what I said. I mean, I wasn't that hard. Well, maybe. Well,
we use the tools we were given. And I think each generation is learning more and trying to become better as a whole. And so it's beautiful to see it go down the line. And I'm learning, watching them, just, gosh, it's so beautiful to see that it can be done differently.
Well, let me finish with this. Here's the ultimate fool's choice, and it happens all the time. It's the fool's choice ultimately is silence or violence. I'm talking verbally. I don't mean physical violence. If you're at that point,
but physical violence feels. Verbal feels physical.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, when there's abuse.
I'm not trying to minimize it.
Right.
I just want you to understand what I'm talking about. Some people will just shut down and they say, well, that's, I'm not the perpetrator of the problem. Well, if you've gone silent, you're allowing the problem to continue.
Correct. Yeah.
And you say the person that is violent, what I mean by that is they use violent verbal terms to demean the other person or to try to get the upper hand. There's a person I know, every time I've interacted with this individual, every time, and I am not exaggerating, in the last year, it has been an assault on my character every time. I've never known anybody like that, where there's almost no redeeming value in what they have to say. They use violence against me to try to get me to do what they want to me.
But that person is consistent in everybody they deal with in that circle.
That's true.
So it's not personal, but
I know that. And I'm just saying
it's so
this
personal.
is a deeply flawed individual who has a problem with, in this case, some psychological problems that are demanding that this. he always be right and he always get his way. The desire for control. We're going to talk about, understanding. Next week, we're going to talk about how to understand. Ask yourself this question: what do I really want? Do I want to win this argument, and so I'm going to use violence? Do I want to get out of this argument, so I'm going to go to silence so that it's over? Or am I going to address this in a healthy way to give this person an opportunity to have a relationship?
Correct.
You can't control what other people do, but you can create an environment for good dialogue.
Right.
So this is so important.
Yeah.
It's important for business. It's important for personal relationships. Kimberly and I have talked about this. I go over this with people I deal with in business. So my key leaders, I deal with this book. They're reading it. I'm going through it with them. Kimberly and I see it from our relationship, and we want you to see it with your children, with your spouse, in your business, if you own your business or you're a supervisor, whatever you are, you have relationships, all of your friendships. This will work in all of that. So we want you to understand this is very important. Don't fall into the fool's choice. Okay. All right. Next week, we'll dig deeper into this. I'm excited for you to hear this. We're excited to share with you. Thanks for listening to Hope Rescue Podcast. Invite your friends to listen to this series. I think it'll help them greatly. God bless. Have a great week.
Bye, guys.